We all know that we need lights on defensive weapons. That's not really the point of this video. The point of this video is to go over two options that I have on my rifles, or pistol. The Streamlight ProTac Rail Mount 1 and the InForce WML Gen2. Both of these lights are great options, whether you have a short gun or a standard size gun. The reason you would go with a smaller one like this is, size and weight is something you're concerned about. Because the Rail Mount 2 is going to be a little bit longer, the HLX is going to be longer, and I believe it probably has a bigger head on it. So if you're looking for a small, compact, lightweight light, this would be a good option to get. And the same goes with the InForce WML. This is a shorter version. They do have the WMLX, that's a lot longer. Actually, it's longer from here out because it has two batteries in it, 700 or 800 lumens. This one is 400. Like I said, if you have it on a small gun like this, the smaller one really helps, especially when you're looking at the switches on the back, and you can't get it too far forward because you're going to extend past the end of the muzzle. But we'll get to that. First off, we're going to talk about price. The prices are pretty much comparable. The Streamlight's going to be a little bit less, but depending on how you want to mount it, you probably will have to buy a mount to go with the Streamlight, which would probably bring you up to the price of the InForce, which is a little bit more expensive than the Streamlight. Some of you might like that the InForce doesn't require a mount. It has a Picatinny mount built in. The advantage to having the Picatinny built in is if you're going to mount it on the top rail, like this light right here, like I have it mounted. Or I guess if you wanted to mount it on the side right here, if you had Picatinny right there, but a lot of people are going away from Picatinny, they're going with key mod or M-lock. So really the advantage for this one is if you're going to top mount it just like this, which is great for going, activating with this hand or with this hand. It's in the same spot. The bezel is a little bit bigger on this one, so if you top mount it with the included Picatinny mount, it's going to sit a little bit taller. You might not clear your red dot or your sights. So what most people do with the rail mount is they mount it off to the side, either direct mount or they put a Picatinny on their rail and mount it like that. Probably like the 1, 2 o'clock position most of the time, or if you run the push button on the back in your right hand, a lot of people mount it at the 11 or 10 o'clock on the other side. But the same concept. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. This one, it kind of blocks the bottom of your red dot when you look through it. It is a slimmer profile side to side, so if you're worried about that, this one I do keep in a bag, folded. It has the folder on the back, and I'm trying to keep it as slim as possible when it's folded because it goes in a bag, and I didn't want it snagging on anything. Like when you pull it out of the bag, you've got kind of an edge right there that could have snagged on coming out. It could have snagged on the edge of the opening of the zipper or strap or anything like that. So that's why the InForce is on this gun, because you see how smooth it is coming up the back right there. It's slim on each side because it's on the top. So that's why this light is on here, and it's a little bit shorter, so I can top mount it, I can clear the muzzle, and I can still get it far enough forward to get a pretty decent hand position on the handguard. Alright, so let's talk about lumens real quick. The Streamlight has got 350, the InForce has 400. That's only 50 lumen difference. It doesn't seem like a whole lot. The real difference is in the beam pattern of the light. This one has a really defined hot spot and not a lot of spill to the edge. This one has a less defined hot spot and a lot more spill. So what's the best? It's kind of up to you. It depends on what you like and what you're going to use it for. The InForce fits this 7.5 really well, because it's small and all that. And this is a small gun. It's gonna shorter barrel, less velocity. It's not going to shoot very far and be as lethal. So this is like a room clear. You know, you want something with a broad beam on it that can see, you know, peripherally. You can see your peripherals a lot better with this light, the beam on this light. You know, it's not as tight a hot spot. It's not going to throw as far and be as tight, but you're going to get a lot more spill out around the room. So when you're inside, you know, you're going in and out and all, you know, you can see things to the sides of you a lot better. The Streamlight, on the other hand, like I said, has a lot tighter beam, a lot tighter hot spot. I mean, it throws the beam a lot farther, so you're not getting as much spill. You know, this is on a 10.5 inch SBR, you know, so it's not really that much longer distance than the 7.5, but it's all about what you want, what you're looking for. So we talked about lumens. This one's got 350 lumens on a single CR123 battery, and it'll, you know, push those lumens for 1.75 hours, I think. This one also is dual fuel capable. So if you run out on your 123 battery and you have a AA laying around, you take the tail cap out, throw the AA in there, and it'll work. It won't be as bright. It'll only be 150 lumens, I think, for about the same runtime, hour and a half, somewhere around there. But, you know, it's just an option you can think about. If you want the capability to refill it with a pretty standard battery, you can do that just to get by. The InForce, just the 123 battery, which, you know, it's no big deal. A lot of things use this. A lot of handheld lights use it. I guess cameras use it. I've heard people call it a camera battery. So, you know, it's not that big a deal. It's not really a game changer, but it's something to think about. All right, so let's take a look at the kind of the ergonomics, I guess you'd call it. This one does have the push button tail cap, which is just standard for, you know, any flashlight. So if you mount it, whichever side you want to mount it on, you can activate it with your thumb. You can put it over here, activate it. You can even reach across. Some people reach across the top and they can activate it. I went with a tape switch because this is a shorter rifle. It's a shorter rail, and I like to get my hand about right here on it. And if you look right there, I'm almost at the end of the rail anyway. So if I had the push button, you can maybe see right here, my thumb is halfway up the light. So I'd either have to move my hand back a little bit or move the light forward. I don't want to move the light forward because then it will be in the way of the muzzle device and it'll get dirty a lot faster and all that stuff. So I've got it as close as I can get it on this other side, where it still clears the ports on the flash hider here. So that's why I have it mounted on this side with the tape switch in the middle. And if I have to go left-handed, you know, I can still, it'll still fit in the crease of my hand right there, and I can still activate it just fine. The InForce, like I said, has a single button on the back at an angle, so it's very good for mounting on the top rail. You know, most people do a little thumb over type deal, so you can really get in there and get it activated really easily with either hand because it's perfectly ambidextrous. Another thing with the switch being like this, you don't have any cables or pressure pads or anything like that. You don't have to worry about the pad ripping off or the cable melting. You know, with this, it has a cable and a pad that has to be mounted to the rail. There is the possibility of melting the cable. You know, I don't know how hot you have to get it or how close you have to get it to something really hot to melt it. I haven't shot that many rounds yet and haven't seen that happen. It's just a possibility, something to think about. The next thing we need to talk about is the switches, the switchology on it, how to activate it, what kind of modes it has. The Streamlight in the package comes with the tape switch, which is really good. It's got a momentary flat right here, and it's got the button that you can click and leave it on. It also comes with a tail cap, which is the same functions. It's a you can push it for momentary, or you can click it for constant. This one is 10 tap programmable. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it. It's a whole bunch of different modes and options that it comes with: strobe and low, high, basically different modes and different orientations of each mode. But for, you know, defensive purposes, Really the only mode you need is high only. So when you push the tape switch, you get high. When you let go, it cuts off. If you need to leave it on constant, which you know, in low light situations there are times when you need to leave it on constant, you can click the back button right here and leave it on, and click it, turn it off. The InForce has a few different modes on it. If you roll the switch forward, you can hold it and get momentary, or you can click it once and leave it on. You can roll the switch back on the side and it's just momentary. But like I said, on the Streamlight, you need a constant on feature on a weapon mounted light. So roll the switch forward, you can tap it and it stays on all the time. And then you can still, you know, hold it if you need to. You let it go, it comes off. Recently had the opportunity to take both of these weapons, the SBR and the pistol, through a low light carbine class with Talent Defense. It was a one day or one night class. So I only got to fire a few hundred rounds through each and tried to swap them up, you know, get a feel for both lights, both setups. Each one of them has advantages and disadvantages. Like I said, with the beam pattern, the tighter beam pattern or the wider beam pattern, the InForce is a little bit better when you're doing like a low ready, when you want to illuminate a subject or a target. You want to illuminate them but not have the muzzle pointed at them. You're not quite sure if they're a threat. Maybe you just want to be able to see their hands, you know, something like that. This one does a little bit better because, like I said, it has a broader beam. So you can aim this, you know, below their feet and the light will still go up enough to see their hands or anything like that. The Streamlight, not so much, because it has the tighter beam pattern. You can still see, but just not as good as this one. If you have the rifle pointed below their feet, so you're not pointing it at them, the light's pretty much going to put that beam right below their feet. And you have a little bit of spill to go up and see their hands, you know, see what they're doing with all that stuff. So that's one area where the InForce did a little bit better. Other than that, that's kind of really the only major difference I noticed. We didn't shoot really far, maybe less than 50 yards. So I'm sure if we'd have got more than 50 yards, I would have seen this one do a little bit better because it's got that longer throw on it. I would have been able to positively identify the target a lot better. But like I said, we didn't get past 50 yards in that class. All in all, they're very similar as far as activation. They both have a momentary, and they both have a constant. So the way these are set up, buttons on top, you can activate them with either hand. They're both about the same lumens. The only difference is the mounting options. This one has a little bit more, which also requires you to purchase more mounts. This one, out of the box, you can mount directly to the top rail, which I think is the ideal position for the InForce. On the top rail, that's kind of what I think it's made for. You can mount them offset. It's just going to add a little more bulk and look a little weirder. So really, I can't really say which one is better than the other. It's all about personal preference. It's all about what kind of gun it's going on, how you like to set it up based off of, you know, your gun size, how you like to grip the gun, how you like to activate it. So, you know, neither one of them's bad, neither one of them's the best. It's all kind of preference. They're equal in lumens. This one has a longer throw and a tighter beam. This one has a shorter throw and a wider beam. So, you know, at the end of the day, you kind of have to look at both of them and figure out for yourself which one you need. You know, if this one fits your gun and your ergonomics better and you can deal with a little bit shorter throw and a wider pattern, this is the one you need to go with. If you want a few more options as far as mounting and tape switch and all that stuff, and you either need or want a tighter beam or you don't mind dealing with it, the Streamlight's the one you want to go with. So all in all, both of these lights are great. They're both good, you know, sub 500 lumen lights, small, compact, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, figure out which one looks best on your gun, because that's probably the most important part. We all got to look cool. Then figure out which one's going to fit your gun, which one is going to fit your needs better, and go with that one. You guys know the drill. If you like the video and you want to see more in the future, click right here. If you want to see another video right now, click right here. Thanks for watching. So at 10 yards, let's try it with a 5.56 pistol with a BCM